am I willing to sacrifice this bucket? Maybe even just for the time being, but understanding I need to fill this one back up, right? So, and that's the hard piece, right? There's no
buckets of entrepreneurship. When you put all your parts of life into buckets and you're moving water from one to the next, filling it up, and you only got one bucket to move around.
Yeah.
It's hard though. It's one of those things. I think North American culture and everything that we do, we're pushed towards trying to keep improving and doing more.
Having, again, the decision making, it's too many options or too little options.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I try to do things a little differently with my Instagram account, and most people want to follow everyone and get as much followers as possible. I'm trying to build slow.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite of what everyone's going to do, and I didn't want to build as fast as possible. But I'm trying to get organic as possible and get those people that actually want to engage with me. So it might take a little longer, but I don't know.
Do it organically, yeah. And that's the way, right? Create as much engagement as possible. Give people your 2 cents all the time. Interact with people back and forth, and you create your audience.
Yeah.
And that's the power of social media, and that's where you can gain the most traction from it. Just offer value. Social media is a branding exercise for the most part. There's ads and inbound conversions you can create, but if you treat it with offering as much value as possible, which I've seen some of your stuff, you're giving out that value as much as possible and then waiting for customers to call you when the timing's right, right? Yeah. You wait for timing. Not everyone is going to be ready to come in to go through that performance consulting right away. They wait for it, but when they're ready for it, when they feel like they're going to go to the person that comes top to mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to push on anyone, because I know even just the field itself, it doesn't work when you're like, hey, I'm doing some sports psychology. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like it happens organically. And this thing, I also have like a love-hate relationship with social media. Like, I don't want to be always on it, always, posting things. And so I try to do it when it feels like, oh, you know what, I feel like I want to make a video right now, and that's when I can do it. And instead of just kind of forcing it. That's when I feel I get the least engagement when I'm forcing, pictures or videos. But
yeah, I love it. All right, we're on a roll. So Marek is a mental performance consultant. I got it right at Flow Performance.
Yeah.
And cue sound that sound, and let's get this thing rolling. Tell me a little bit about your practice.
Yeah.
And take me through it a little bit. I don't know a lot about it. So take me through kind of what you preach, and then let's take it through business side, marketing side, life side, everything.
Yeah, so I'm in the field of sport and performance psychology. The reason I kind of got into it is my own kind of struggles with the mental game. I grew up playing soccer. That was my sport, and I was thought technically I was decent enough, but just the mental side of something I was struggling with. I was never confident when it mattered the most. I was struggling with those high pressure moments. I was always the type of player that needed a pat on the back, told me I was doing okay.
Yeah.
I was never, a coach yelled at me. I took that as a negative thing. I took that really personally. But despite that, I still, my first introduction to the field of sports psychology and mental training was my brother.
Were you aware of that when you were playing soccer, or you were more aware of that after you got into the field?
I was aware of it. So when I was like 15 or 16, my brother gave me a book, The Inner Game of Tennis, which is a really good book to recommend to anyone, not only tennis players, and he's a tennis player, and he was a high-level tennis player. That was my first introduction to the mental game. Like, okay, yeah, this is something that really spoke to me, like something I struggled with. Like, I was never confident and just trying too hard, right? And so that's my first introduction to it. And I kind of struggled. There was no sports psychologist in town at that time. I didn't know about it yet. So despite that, I kind of struggled with it through my own way. But I still, after high school, I went to go play soccer in Europe for a little bit. I had this dream of playing professionally, and I don't care about school. I'm like, I'm going to play professionally. I don't care about anything else. Didn't quite work out. My teammates didn't accept me there. Like, who's this new guy coming in trying to take your spot? The coach, again, different communication styles. I didn't get the support I felt I needed. And so I decided, no, maybe this is not for me. I'm going to go back and see what else is there for me. And then so through that kind of setback or failure, I found I want to help athletes through those kind of situations, those kind of life demands and demands of sport. And so I kind of want to help athletes, cope with life skills, mental skills, to develop those skills to become not only better athletes, but just people as well.
Yeah.
So that was my first kind of trigger. Like, okay, I want to get into this field. And so I kind of started my journey into education into it. And then so now that's what I'm working with right now, primarily with athletes, but also trying to branch out into performance in general, because life is a performance, right? We're both performing something. Your pocket, that's a performance, right? Right now, your manager, that's a performance, right? Parent is a performance, right? Life is a performance. And so I try to move away from the sport label now and trying to say, hey, life is a performance. We're trying to perform in something, right? Because the biggest battle we have is winning against ourselves.
And I say this all the time. Sports and everything else in life there's a correlation between both, right? So with business and sports, I always say that if you're on a sports team, that's the best training ground to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're a part of a team. You're dealing with pressure. Your other people are relying on you, and the same thing happens in a business as part of a team. So it's a training ground, and it goes back and forth. So everything that applies for when you're giving that performance training to athletes also applies to business, applies to life, applies to everything, just like you said. Yeah. Problem with podcasts, and this is why we always chop it up into clips, is podcasts are a commitment. It's a 30 to 40 minute commitment, and not everyone has that amount of time in each day. So you chop it into pieces, into promos, and give people that value in that snippet and get that out there. But there's less and less time in our days. We have to focus on specific things. The screen time is on phones now. You can see how much time you're spending on your phones every day. I think that people are trying to bring the screen time down, are struggling to bring the screen time down, while still getting what they want out of their phones or what they've ingrained into their lives. And we battle with that all the time. And it's something I think that's going to keep evolving.
Yeah. Well, we're self-improving ourselves to death. I just wrote a blog post about this. Like, we're putting so much on our plate without actually asking ourselves and realizing, do we actually want to do this? One example is, I worked with an athlete who was playing a sport, and then they didn't realize, there's the high level performer, they got up to professional level, and they never asked themselves if they actually wanted to do the sport. There's this whole life they've been told they've been really good at the sport, but never took a moment and just reflected. And we don't do it often enough, right? Am I doing these things because I want to do them? If you are, awesome, keep pushing yourself, keep pushing those limits. But if you gotta stop and reflect, hey, maybe this is something that's not conducive to my time and my values, then it's time, that moment to reflect. And that's where mindfulness comes in as well, where you're creating a little bit more space to reflect. Hey, is this the right way for me to spend more time, right? And
it's interesting because one of the biggest mistakes I see successful entrepreneurs make is they believe that they can start other projects and create the same success right away while still doing the one that created the success for them. So I've seen that play out a couple times, and I'm mindful of that now with myself, to focus on Magnolias and focus on myself. But I don't want to move that in a different direction and say all of a sudden, okay, we're really good at marketing, now let's go out and make movies, right? There's maybe a correlation between us doing video and doing video well and making commercials and focusing on the marketing side. But it doesn't mean that we're going to go out and make movies and distract our attention away from what we're focusing on, what we're good at. Yeah. So I'm mindful of that now, to focus on just that one thing and not spread myself too thin. And it's a huge mistake I see a lot of entrepreneurs make.
Yeah.
Why do we go that direction? Why do we want to keep improving ourselves? What the blog post that you read, and take that further, take me to your opinion of it, because I think it's in our culture that we've developed that thought that we just got to keep going and keep developing it. And maybe we feel a little bit like superheroes after we have a couple of those successes, and then you want to just keep going after and doing more things. What do you think about that?
No, that's a great question. And then most people just don't ask themselves that question: why am I actually doing this? And it's more, prevalent in Western, societies, where it's consuming and just, getting things out there. You want to be, top of your game all the time. And then, so the old model of things, and this applies to sports as well, is the old model is you got to do more to be more. So you put more hours in, put more, training sessions in, do this, and eventually you'll get to the top. But now we're seeing burnout, psychological, physical burnout, right? And just people not happy about it. So now the model is, and this is what I'm trying to help people understand, is more, it's about being more to do more. So be more authentic, be more present, be more confident, and the doing will come. So the more you're present with one project at a time, the more your values, your identity will be ingrained in that project. and then the good things will come from as a result, instead of doing this, because it's just like 10% here, 5% here, 5% here. It's not fully you, right? So do one project at a time, fully engage what you're actually doing, and that's about being more authentic, being more present here. If I'm trying to do more and I'm not present in this conversation, then the quality goes down, right? That's about being fully engaged with that. And again, I have to remind myself all the time too about not pushing myself too much. To be honest, I find I identify myself as almost a little lazy. I want to be kind of lazy. I don't want to be pushing myself all the time. I want to have time with my family. I want to have time to just watch Star Wars. Do those little things, right? And then I find in those moments, I find creative sparks and ideas. Then I come back to that space, right? Interesting.
So when you take that one step further in sports, what is the when I was growing up, it was the stigma that you had to focus on one sport, right? So I stopped playing a lot of sports in the end and just focused on hockey.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have stopped playing those other sports. I probably would have played golf through my entire life, and now I'd be playing golf probably a little better than I do now. Yeah. But there was that stigma that you had to stop everything and focus on one sport. But a lot of the athletes that succeed were multi-sport athletes, and you see that across all professionals. So where's the theory on that now? Should you focus on one sport? Should you focus on multiple? Or does it have nothing to do with either?
Yeah. No.
And
I'm glad you brought that up, especially hockey too. Hockey is bad for this. So hockey parents, if you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, I was me too that was driving it. I'm like, I'm going to stop everything and I'm going to make hockey work. Yeah. And I just felt that some of the skills that I had when I was playing volleyball or basketball or tennis or whatever else I was playing, I stopped playing golf for a couple of years as I focused on hockey. And those skills went down and I lost some of the other motor skills that could have helped me overall. Exactly. At least that's what, in hindsight, I look at it now.
Yeah. And that's what the research is backing up now. It's what the research on youth development is showing is multi-sports. Early specialization is not helpful for motor development, psychological development, because you're just a whole year if you're just playing hockey, you tend to burn out, right? And then so there's an article the Ottawa Senators ex-strength and conditioning coach wrote about how he's seeing all their players coming in with all these chronic injuries because they're just playing hockey year round all the time. So that's just the physical side, right? There's that mental component, emotional component. We're just playing too much. And see all the top athletes, Wayne Gretzky, Jordan, they played multiple sports growing up. Yeah, it just helps them. It just helps just detach. So again, going back to that, one thing at a time, but you got to learn to reduce the noise and detach every once in a while, and then come back recovered fully, mentally and physically, to come back to that thing you actually enjoy. Or sometimes you detach, you find out, hey, I never actually wanted to do this, and that's data in itself too. Right.
So then translate that to business now. So how do business owners detach? How do entrepreneurs detach to come back recovered to avoid burnout? Because, I mean, I see that one too, right? You're going at a project or a job, you're giving it everything, and you have no time to stop, day and night, every single day. And then you start to feel it. You start to feel the burnout a little bit. You start to realize that your productivity is going down. How do we manage that? Yeah. For all the entrepreneurs out there that are trying to figure it out.
And that's the $1 million question nowadays, how to have that high performance lifestyle but not burn out, right? And then this is something I'm really getting interested in a lot more now, and translating those things in sport into business. And it's again setting those boundaries for yourself. If you're not going to do them, you're just going to keep kind of going, right? So having those limits on your phone for social media, for example, having a mindfulness practice where you detach. Setting time, like Warren Buffett, he schedules 2 days out of his week where he just does nothing. He blocks it out of his schedule because he knows those days are times where he's going to be creative, he's going to think about doing things and just getting himself out of the problem, right? And
they've created some videos of Warren Buffett where you open up his calendar and there's just nothing in it any day. Because he's only doing a couple things a day, and then the rest is comes.
That's being more, right? To do more.
Yeah.
Not putting more things in the schedule, because we can't physically do that much. We have limited capacities, mental, physical capacity throughout the day. We have a battery, right? So allocate those resources appropriately. So plan your schedule ahead. Like, hey, this day, I'm blocking my emails, my phone, I'm not doing anything, right? But you need to put those systems in place, right? And we're all guilty. We want to do more, but it's also, I think the important piece is not judging yourself for pushing yourself. Like, hey, you want to do good things, that's awesome, right? But don't hate yourself for trying to do your best. We're all trying to figure it out. No one has a manual for it.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. No one's perfect.
And I think everyone's different too, right? So everyone's, I guess, battery is different of how they recharge and what.
And balance, work-life balance doesn't exist. Everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
It's about which bucket needs to be filled appropriately, and am I okay with? If you want to be high performer in business, something else is going to give. Family life, this, right? So it's prioritizing. Hey, am I willing to sacrifice this bucket? Maybe even just for the time being.
Yeah.
But understanding I need to fill this one back up, right? So and that's the hard piece, right? There's no
buckets of entrepreneurship. When you put all your parts of life into buckets and you're moving water from one to the next, filling it up, and you only got one bucket to move around.
Yeah.
It's hard though. It's one of those things. I think North American culture and everything that we do, we're pushed towards trying to keep improving and doing more.
Yeah. So how do you do it?
I'm bad because my buckets are I divert almost all of my energy to the business. And I fill up my business bucket and I spend a lot of time doing that. But I do find that there are times when I start to feel the burnout because I dedicate all my days and all my time to it. Yeah. I sometimes tell myself that it's temporary, but at the same time I feel like I'm in this now, right? And I'm putting everything into that business bucket. So it's tough.
Yeah. But as long as you're fully present, engaged in your business, and then knowing, hey, once I'm in that door at home, I'm fully present, engaged in that piece.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where that being piece comes in. Right. It's understanding, can I be fully engaged here? Can I be fully engaged here? And having that practice of understanding, when is it too much? I'm starting to feel, because I had symptoms of burnout. I'm getting better at recognizing that. So it manifests itself physically, performance anxiety when I'm like a sales call or something. It's feeling my body. That's my body telling me, hey, slow down.
Yeah.
You're doing too much. And that's when you can, okay, let's take a moment here.
Well, and I get signs too. So I get physical signs. My stomach will feel a little bit. If anxiety goes up or if sleep goes down, if certain factors, I'll start to feel in my body, and I can now identify those as going a little bit too far.
Yeah. That's where the challenge skill balance is useful. You check in, hey, how much percentage am I? Am I 10% challenge too much? That's too much. Can I reduce some of the challenge? If I'm too bored, can I increase some of the challenge? Right, so where would you say you're right now overall in life? Maybe if you want to just group it in business, where would you say your challenge is at compared to your skill? Is it too much? Too little?
It's not too much. I'm in the zone right now.
Yeah.
But as we aim to diversify and as we aim to get more work and grow the business, I feel like I'll stretch up that 10%. Yeah. I'll move up every single time that we look at expanding.
Yeah.
Anytime that we look at getting a new project, it goes up because you're dedicating more time to doing the work you already do, and then have to do work into creating and getting more work and building those proposals. Time, right? So you're not in flow because you're trying to extend up into that challenging stage. I do enjoy the challenge though, obviously, but then trying to avoid the burnout setting.
I was saying that there's people think flow is kind of an on and off kind of system, where it's like you're in flow or you're off flow, but it's just kind of it's a cyclical process, where there's like a struggle phase where you're having a creative project, you got to think about, ideas are still in the planning stage, you can't figure out yet. Eventually, kind of even just neurochemically, there's changes happening in your brain and your body where there's a struggle phase, but then you start to let go and you release, you get yourself out of the problem, and then you kind of just tap into it. So like the creativity's going through the roof, everyone's just having great ideas, right? But then there's a stage where you need to recover. You can't be in flow all the time. And this is where there's a dark side of flow, where you see extreme sports athletes, they're chasing that. People say they're adrenaline junkies. They're not. They're flow junkies. They want that experience of getting out of their own head.
Gotcha.
They're getting into jumping off a cliff, feels awesome, and they're chasing that too much without realizing you can't be in flow all the time. And they're putting themselves in greater and greater risks, right?
Is it harder to get to flow in that case the more you do it because you have to recover?
Well, they're pushing, like their baseline is getting higher for risk tolerance, right? Because risk is a huge flow trigger, right? So even for the creative process, risk is a great trigger to spark new ideas. But the more and more risk you take, right, the more you need risk to fuel that flow, and that's where it becomes a little bit more dangerous for those extreme sports athletes, right? So but again, you need to have that flow, recover, and even if it's in a business setting, right, have that great project, everyone's flowing, everyone's awesome. Plan a recovery phase, a couple days, a week, where, hey, let's just slow it down a bit. Let's come back to that stage instead of keep chasing and next awesome project. Interesting.
I like it. It's something to think about and to identify, be mindful of, and then see how to apply it as it goes. We see it in the office, and we see it with people all the time where you're really excited, you're doing the project, and then there is a down phase where maybe it's pushed too far and the burnout occurs, and then it comes around. So now that you say that, I can identify
so recognizing, right?
Recognizing,
we're in recovery phase right now. And so having that part of the vocabulary of the team, like, hey, right now we're in struggle phase.
Yeah.
Let's accept it. Embrace the suck. Navy SEALs have a saying, embrace the suck, right?
Embrace the
it's
suck.
It's going to suck,
yeah.
right? But that's good. That's part of the process. We need that struggle to feel like we're in conflict. And then that's the first stage. And that's when we tap in. We let go. We're in flow. Then understand, hey, awesome work, guys. And now it's recover. Right?
I like it. I think it's easier to identify as soon as you can kind of know those different stages. So take me through your quote. We got it on the wall already.
Yeah.
You've already mentioned a couple, but take me through that one because I like it a lot. It's going to stay there for a while for sure.
Yes, the mountains we climb are not only made of rock and ice, but also dreams and desire. The mountains we climb are mountains of the mind. Right? So that kind of speaks to me a lot. And also it ties into another quote is, the biggest battle we have is the one against ourselves.
Yeah.
And I know this from my own personal experience. I'm always my own worst critic. I was always, never had a lot of self-doubt, growing up in my performance, and still have a lot of self-doubt now. And when I'm posting things, like, do people actually want to see this?
To be honest, I mean, the mountains of the mind is the biggest problem that we see when people are developing personal brands or brands, because their business is their baby, and their brand, when they're going out, they look at the smallest of details, and it hinders the process.
Yeah.
It causes more stress and anxiety when they're kind of putting it into another revision stage, and more resources are getting spent, and they aren't able to get that content out faster.
Yeah.
So, and it applies to everything. It applies to sports. It applies to life. It applies to pretty much everything.
It's just criticizing ourselves, right? And that's always in the mind. We want to do great things, but just our mind gets in the way, right? Like I said in flow, it's the efficiency exchanges. We're not overthinking things. We're just doing things, and you want to kind of get into place more often. And so it makes sense to train them because we're with the mind 100% of our lives. So it makes sense to train it, understand its complexities, and not getting so caught up in its narratives. Let's change the narrative we're doing. So that's some kind of dedicating my life to mental mastery. That's kind of why my forte now is how can I, and I know it's never going to be, we're not going to fully master it. So, I mean, people think it's like, the pursuit of mastery, but it's mastering the pursuit, right? Learn about that pursuit, that journey, and everyone's journey is unique.
Yeah.
Right. And define what mastery kind of means to you. And that's kind of the process, right? And then that's why I love seeing some of your stuff and your videos and what you're doing is awesome. It is a form of mastery, right? The marketing, the branding, and all these sorts of things. And that's you're creating your own, unique spell on it. So it's awesome to see. Yeah,
and it's a venture. It's an adventure for us as we try to tackle it in podcasts. You talk about kind of that, looking at how it was. The first couple podcasts I did, I went into super nervous, and you go in and after and you look at the footage, and I sit with Q and we're editing it, and I keep telling people, right, I would notice things and I would start to doubt what I was saying, and it took 10 episodes or longer to start to identify that and realize that you just be confident with it, understand that this is part of the process, and I'm going to continue to get better as I go. And I felt that now. I can feel now a little bit more confident as I go. And I still have some of those jitters, just like any sport, right? When I stand on the first tee in the golf course, I still feel those jitters when I'm hitting the first drive. But understanding that and then embracing it is something that's helped me.
And that's the thing. And then you listen to all the masters of any field or craft. They told you, like, it takes time. Like, no one's magically amazing the first time. And this is, I think, the problem nowadays, especially with the rise of social media and everything, that people want to be magically the best in one day. Tomorrow. Yeah. But it's like, don't rush things. It's going to take time. And that's when non-judgment piece comes in, being present, and good things will come, right? And not kind of looking ahead. That's Star Wars reference, right? So when one of my favorite scenes was when Luke and Yoda were in the hut, and Yoda says, all his life he looks away to the horizon, to the future. Never his mind where he was.
Yeah.
What
you are now.
What he was doing, right? Need in front of your nose, right? And that kind of speaks to me a lot. I rewatch that scene all the time when I'm in a little rut. Yeah. It's like it caught up the narrative of the future and that, or the past. I don't bring it back to what you're actually doing, right? So that's why I have Yoda. It guides me in the.
Yeah, Yoda. When you watch Yoda, there was for a while there where I tried to talk like Yoda just to try to get some of that wisdom from what they presented in the movies. But it's I like that. I like in all films, but especially in Star Wars, that they translate a lot of those awareness and life things that happen to all of us within the films. And I mean, I like all the Star Wars movies. I think a lot of people don't like some of the prequels and even some of the ones now, but I've enjoyed them all, and I think that they've taught me a lot, and I'm excited for this last one. So
tell me about, I mean, is your quote on the wall here? What's
my favorite quote is behind me. It's a Richard Branson paraphrase, and I have a ton of quotes. Obviously, we have a ton here, but that one speaks to me because I really believe when you're building a team and going through that process, that the team or the employees come first, and the rest will take care of itself. I find a lot of times people, if we use Star Wars again, they look past what's present and past the people and look at what the end result is. So the old way to look at it is the customers come first. Well, in the end, yes, the customers are important, but if the people that are serving the customers aren't happy, then the customers aren't going to be happy.
Exactly.
So start from the baseline and move forward. I believe in that one a lot, and we try to implement that with our team all the time.
Nice. No, I love it. And that totally makes sense, and something that the research backs up as well. And this is something, either in a team sport or individual goal setting process, people tend to focus on the outcome too much, end result. But we can't control the outcome 100%. There's so many different variables. But it's the process, the little steps along the way that will get you, increase your chances of that outcome, right? And that part of the process is, if you want outcome to be best consulting group in Edmonton, that's a great outcome we'll have. But the process is treat your employees right. And that's what will get you there, instead of focus on that, right? And that's drifting off towards the outcome or the future oriented, right?
And I think when I even think about, I'm trying to relate what you're saying back to some things that when I think about even golf, I could be having the best round of my life, and then if I think forward to the outcome of finishing the round 4 holes, I'm on hole 14, I got a couple to go, I'm having the best round of my life, and then all of a sudden, a couple shanks in the trees, a couple reloads, and it's no longer the best round. It's because I go forward, and I think that a lot of golfers and athletes can think this. You think about the end result too early, and you forget that you aren't done yet.
One of my favorite stories on that is my own personal experience of having a flow experience. And this is when I was like 13, I think, summer camp. I was playing ping pong with against my best friend in the gold medal tournament. I was like the gold medal match. He was up one set, up 10 points with, and then just needed one more point to win the whole thing. So up one set and up 10 points. He needed one more point to win the whole thing. And I got into a space. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about the outcome whatsoever. I'm just focused on his next shot. 1 point at a time. 1 point at a time. Caught up. Was 10 points, won that set. Won the next one, won the medal, right? Because I wasn't focused on the outcome, and he was visibly just so. He was reach, right? And
he could see it. He could see the medal at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Same thing in business, right? The project is so close, it's there, and then all your attention is there instead of focus on the thing that will actually get you there. The quality product.
So that quote speaks to me. There's a bunch of other ones that we talk about all the time, and that's why we built this wall of inspiration, because we're trying to get out and get those, I guess, the good vibes that you can feel by reading them and go through it. People in the office can come read them. Guests come on and take a look at it. And it's been well received, and we're just going to keep evolving it and eventually cover as many of the walls as we can.
I love it. That's an environment built for flow, right?
So. Try to build an environment built for flow. So it's been good. So let's take it one step further now and take marketing to your business. What platforms are you on? Let's finish there. And what are you trying to do as you grow your practice?
Primarily, so I built kind of decent following on Facebook for Flow Performance. My Instagram is, I changed it. I used to have Flow Performance, but I changed it to my own name.
Personal branding.
I was having my personal branding. So that's where the majority of my stuff is. Dabble a little bit in YouTube. I've had some videos, but I don't do much at all at all. So right now I'm in the process of just be on other people's things, and that's kind of how I do it. And I'm trying to live my philosophy of taking it slow and not kind of rushing it. So I think it'll eventually come. So that Instagram is the best.
The one thing that the audience can take from you that you even said before we started was you're giving out the value and then you allow people to embrace it and come to you, and that is branding at its finest. That is giving as much value as possible and waiting for the timing that I mentioned earlier for when someone's ready to come to you. And it works across all products, all businesses, everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're an industrial company waiting for an RFP to come in. If you give out a ton of value and then your client sends you that RFP when the time comes, or if you're selling widgets, and you're giving out a ton of value to your audience, you're advertising, you're marketing, you're doing everything, you're branding, and then that someone out there needs your product and then comes to you. It's something that it's universal across all businesses. And I love that, and that's, I think, one thing the audience can take from you for sure. And then just be present online. You have an online presence, you got a website, you got everything set up. And then when the time comes and you build out the practice and network more, then more people are just going to keep flooding in, your audience gets bigger, and then off to the races.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah,
I love it.
To hear.
Thanks for coming out, Marek.
No, thank you.
This was fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if we quite got to flow state, but it was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
awesome. Yeah.
get you back sometime.
Awesome.
Thanks.